Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, we'll be learning how to draft, cut and sew this short ankara gown. Okay, so here are the measurements that we'll be using. So without wasting your time, let's dive into it. Fabric is folded into two already, and I use the biggest part of the measurement I'm working with, which is the hip measurement, and it's 48 inches. I divided it into four, okay, and added 2 extra inches. So this is my starting line. This line right here is my starting line, and it will also be my shoulder line. But from my shoulder line to my bust line is 10 inches. Then from my shoulder line to my waistline, I'm making use of 16.5 inches. From my shoulder line to my hip line, this is 23 inches. Then this is the length of the gown with the folding allowance. The length of the gown is 38 inches. Then I added 2 extra inches for the folding, and this is the back pattern of the gown. It doesn't have a zipper. Okay, so what I will do is, my shoulder measurement is 14 inches. 14 inches divided by 2 will give me 7 inches. Okay, then I will be adding half an inch for sewing allowance. So here I have 7.5 inches. How I get my armhole measurement is I divide my shoulder into 2, and the shoulder I'm working with is 14 inches divided by 2 will give me 7 plus 1 extra inch. That will be 8 inches. Then I'll also be adding half an inch for the shoulder slope, so I'll be working with 8.5 inches. I hope you are following. So I'm just measuring the same 7.5 inches from the shoulder line down to where the armhole stops. And I use my ruler to connect them together. So to get the curve for my armhole, I'll make use of the bust measurements that I have. The bust measurement I have is 42 inches. 42 inches divided by 4 will give me 10.5. all right, so this is it. So I'll use my ruler and connect them together. You can also make use of your free hand if you don't have a curve ruler. So this is it. So I haven't gotten the shoulder measure the armhole measurement, so I will input the bust measurement on the bust line. Like I said, the bust I'm working with is 42 inches. 42 inches divided by 4 will give me 10.5. So this is it. This is 10.5. Then I'll be making use of 1.5 inches for the sewing allowance. Then the waist measurement is 39 inches. 39 inches divided by 4 will give me 9.7. Here I have my 9.7. Then I'll be adding the same 1.5 inches allowance, sewing allowance, okay, on the waistline. The hip is 48 inches. 48 inches divided by 4 also will give me 12 inches. So here is the 12 inches. Then with the same 1.5 inches sewing allowance. Don't forget, we are drafting out the back pattern of the gown. All right, so the next thing I'll do on this hip line, I'll check for what I have. So all together here I have 13.5 inches. 13.5 inches. So down on this gown length, I'll minus 1/2 inch from what I have on this hip measurement. So that will be 13 inches. So that is what I'll be putting here. 13 inches. Then I'll come back to the shoulder line, okay, to the shoulder line. So there, the wideness of my neck will be 3 inches because it's a high neck. It's a high neck, okay. So 3 inches here. Remember, this is the back pattern of the fabric. The depth, I'll be making use of 1.5 inches, okay. 1.5 inches. So I'll use my curve roller. So this is for the back. Then my shoulder slope, remember I added 1/2 inch, so I'm marking out the 1/2 inches. Then I use my roller to connect it from this neckline here down to this 1/2 inch. That will be our shoulder slope. The next thing I'll do is connect all the lines together. So the next thing is to cut out the fabric. So what I will do next is place this back pattern, okay. I'll fold my material into two again, then place this back pattern on the folded fabric too. So guys, I folded my fabric into two. Remember I said we'll be using the back pattern to draft the front pattern, okay. I told you every other thing will be the same except for the depth of the neck for the front and just the armhole too. So what I'll do is use my chalk and trace out the shoulder slope, then fold this a little bit, okay. Here we are still making use of the 3 inches for the wideness, okay. Then the depth, I'll be making use of 3.5 inches, okay. Then I'll use my curve ruler and connect them together, okay. Then for the armhole, I traced out the curve also. Then remember we're making use of 8 inches and half of it from this shoulder slope is 4 inches. Here is 4 inches. Then I went in by 1/2 inch, okay. Then I'll use my free hand and connect it. And that will be all for the front pattern, okay. Then remember the gown has a pocket, so from the shoulder line here down to the waistline. Remember I used 16.5 inches for the waistline. So in order to draft the pocket, I'll just go up by 1 inch, okay, from this waistline. I just go up by 1 inch. So this is where the pocket will start from. Then I measure 7 inches, okay, and this is where the pocket will stop. All right, so I'll be notching here and this point for the pocket. So the next thing is to cut the fabric out. So the next thing, I folded a little amount of fabric into two to cut out the pocket. Length 11 inches, the wideness 7.5. Then I went in by 2 inches to get the curve, okay, for the pocket. Then I'll be using this one to draft out the second part of the pocket, okay. So that aside, and this is the front part of the ankara fabric, okay. And if you look at the center of it, it has an opening for the button. All right, so what I did is I just folded this little fabric into two and measured about 1 point. I measured 2 inches, okay, and it's on fold. This is 2 inches wide. I have two pieces of it for my button, okay, and the length of it, it's 2 inches wide, and the length of it is 7 inches. I just cut excess. What I will be using here won't be more than 4 inches, 4.5, okay. And this is the center of it where my button will sit, okay. And for the gathers too, I just cut out a long fabric. I just cut out something long, about, it's 5 inches wide, okay. This is what I'll be using for the box pleating on the chest line, and the length of it is it's 45 inches. All right, so the next thing I'll do is cut out my lining for everything I have here. So I finished cutting out the lining for the fabric. This is the front and back piece. Here are my sleeves, okay. There is a video on my channel on how to draft a basic short sleeve, so you can check that out, okay, so you know how I arrived at this. So these are my body plackets. I ironed them with a paper gum, then folded them like 1/2 inch. So what I'm having is 1.6 inch or so, and the length 7 inches for the two. So guys, I've finished attaching the lining to the sleeves, okay. These are the two sleeves, but I'm yet to shape it. This is also the back part of the fabric, okay. The lining also has been attached. So guys, before I attach the lining to the front part of this fabric, I'll have to fix in the button plackets, okay. This button blanket, okay, at the center front of the fabric. So I've turned the fabric to the right side. I've turned the fabric to the right side. So what I'll do next is I'll measure half an inch from this shoulder slope. Okay, this is half an inch, because that's where I'll be joining the shoulder, the back and front. Okay, so from this half an inch I'll measure 7 inches, and I'm measuring 7 inches because that's where the box split will start. That's where that's where the box split will start. Okay, because if you can see from the picture, it's above the chest line a little bit. Remember, I'm on the right side. I'm marking on the right side of the front fabric. Okay, so this is my 7 inches. I'll mark the same thing at the other side. And I open it up. Remember, this is the center front. Okay, I ironed it to get this midpoint. So I measure what I have here down to this 7 inches. So I'm having 4 inches. So the length of this button placket will be 4 inches. But before I open this center front up, I'll have to go over to my machine. Okay, this is how I will place the placket. You can see this is this fold here and this fold here, so they will be opposite each other like so. Okay, you can see them. So I'll go over to my machine, sew this end point on this 7 inches. So before I cut this place open, I had to sew my box split, okay, at the 7 inches. Then also attached the button placket. Okay, then I now sew my lining on the front pattern of the fabric. Okay, so having done all of this, I will now open up this center front for my button placket. Okay, then I'll be stopping about half an inch before this line that I sew. Okay, just watch what I'm doing. Then I'll cut it this way down to this point and to this other end too. And the other side too. Okay, you can see the opening. So what I'll do is I'll go over to my machine. Okay, there is an opening here. I'll fix this in and sew. Then there's another opening here. I'll fix this other side in and sew. Okay guys, so I've finished attaching my button blanket. You can see how beautiful it looks. Okay, so I'll just be weaving this backpack. You can see how beautiful it looks. Hmm? And I've also cut out the excess and the neck part. So what I'll do next is I'll take this to my machine. I'll take this to my machine. I will join the shoulder. Then I'll also shape the gown before piping the neck. Okay, so guys, I finished shaping this gown. Finished shaping it. These are my inner pockets. My inner pockets. This one on this side. So the next thing I'll be doing is to pipe the neckline. Okay, and this is what I'll use to pipe the neckline. And how I got this is I measured my round neck. I measured the round neck of this gown, then with some extra piece. Okay, with some extra inches. So what I'll be doing, I'll just go and sew this around the neckline and insert the buttons. So guys, I'm through with the neckline, as you can see, and I've also inserted the buttons. Okay, so that will be all for this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Stay safe. See you in my next video. Bye.